this hurts so much. Oh. I hate seeing this scene. Alright, it is time to watch Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. Kind of gives away the ending though, doesn't it? I mean, they're not going to go on a search for Spock only not to find him, right? Okay, so notice this starring William Shatner. There's a 6-second pause between that and when they showed DeForest Kelley, because that was the point at which Leonard Nimoy would have been in, his credit would have been there in the movie. Kind of a cool homage. Now, when Star Trek II was released and it became an instant big hit, they knew immediately that they would be making a Star Trek 3. And they asked Nicholas Meyer if he wanted to direct the sequel and all that, and he said no, because he didn't want to put the audiences through the death of Spock only to take it back. Now, Leonard Nimoy pretty much refused to return to Star Trek 3 unless he was given the ability to direct the movie. Christopher Lloyd as Krug. Of course, we all know Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future as Doc Brown. Just like with Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Gene Roddenberry was pretty much demoted to a, I think, script supervisor role because he was very, very challenging to work with from what I understand. A lot of times these scripts would get submitted and then he would rewrite them and just totally change everything. And I can understand that because this is his story. This is his baby, you know? And he wants it to be the way he wants it to be, you know? I can understand that. This shot of the Enterprise, I mean, it's good, but it doesn't quite match up with the way the stars are moving, so it's always kind of bothered me a little bit there. Is that damage on the correct side of the ship? I didn't think Khan hit it from that side. I could be wrong, though. Bridge looks different.
Perhaps it is the emptiness of this.
I'm sure they had to tear it down and put it all back together again. In fact, I think they were to the point where they thought each movie was going to be the last one, so they demolished the bridge and had to rebuild it every time. This one had pretty tight security, as I understand. All the scripts were, labeled with a certain number on them, so they knew who they belonged to in case they got leaked out somewhere.
Take the science station, please.
Oh, that must be pretty weird for Chekhov to go sit in Spock's station. Okay, this is a very important scene.
8 weeks, sir. But you don't have 8 weeks, so I'll do it for you in 2.
That is a fantastic life lesson from Scotty. Always overestimate your repair estimates. So, like, if you think, oh, it's only going to take me a couple of hours to do this, multiply it by 4, because that's probably more realistic. Now, this person you may recognize as Phil Morris. He was actually in an episode of the original Star Trek called Miri, and he was the little kid that had the soldier's helmet on. You also may recognize him from Seinfeld. He played Jackie Chiles. Also, his father was Greg Morris, who was in Mission Impossible along with Leonard Nimoy. And this merchant ship we've seen many, many times in the future. This is a new model that they built for Star Trek 3.
Been here for some time.
Who? Who has been here for some time? Now there's a brief continuity error where it shows like her chest covering in one scene and then another scene and it's not there. And this is the only time where Krug's name is actually spoken. So you'll notice later in the movie when Kirk is addressing him, he doesn't know what to call him, so he calls him Klingon Commander. That's the best he could do. And these are the Genesis scenes all over again, although B.B. Besh did not come back, so they had to have William Shatner film her brief scenes. Oh, the bird of prey. I love the bird of prey. In fact, here's my little bird of prey right here. Ah, so good. Leonard Nimoy had asked the designers to create it in such a way that it looked like it had this really hunched forward kind of look to it, kind of like the crab position for bodybuilders. And I really think that the designers just knocked it out of the park. It's just an amazing ship. It was supposed to be a Romulan ship because, the design of it underneath, in fact, if you look at the model here, you can see it's got these feathers underneath. And that is a Romulan design. But when they decided to go with the Klingons in this movie, they'd already gone through with the design of the bird of prey, so they kept it. And also the bridge was supposed to be for a different production that never actually went through. So somehow or another, Star Trek ended up using that. Now, Space Dock is supposed to be 5 miles tall. The model was only about 6 feet tall, though. And it's the same model that we've seen in Star Trek The Next Generation. And actually, it's supposed to be the exact same Space Dock that we see in Picard Season 3. Oh, I love that shot of the Enterprise going into Space Dock. I just don't understand the design of Space Dock. I think it'd make more sense to have the construction of starships outside. Over there on the left, you can see a unused design for the Excelsior over there. Now, the Excelsior was created from one of Bill George's designs, no relation to me, and he made it to look as though it was something that came out of Japan. That is Grace Lee Whitney as Yeoman Rand. We saw her in Star Trek The Motion Picture in the transporter room. I always thought that scene of her where she's kind of looking at the ship like, here we go again. Kirk wrecked the Enterprise. I always thought that was funny that they showed the original Enterprise design. Is that like a leftover piece of the computer? I'm not crazy. That's what he says. Oh, there's the Idic again. This is basically the same exact Spock's quarters that we saw from Star Trek II. McCoy looks like he hasn't slept in days. Climb the steps, Jim. Climb the steps of Mount Salea. Okay, here we are back in the torpedo bay again. Again, this is a redress of the Klingon cruiser from Star Trek, the motion picture. Scotty's all about the Enterprise. Remember the episode, The Trouble with Tribbles, where the Klingon insulted the Enterprise, and Scotty just started that whole brawl just over that. He loves the Enterprise.
Until the Federation Council makes policy.
It's like, who are all these cadets? I don't remember seeing any of them in the first movie. Well, I mean Star Trek 2. I kind of wish they'd have brought B.B. Besh back for this. Having Shatner do this scene, it just doesn't fit. I mean, he's not one of the scientists, so why is he discussing this? Of course, that's the reused scenes from Star Trek 2. I mean, you spend all that money on the CGI, you might as well get your money's worth on the CGI. And we know who that is, right? It's John Larroquette, who's pretty well known for being on Night Court, but he was also on an episode of Three's Company. I don't know if he makes a really good Klingon, though. This is the Grissom, which was named after Gus Grissom, who was killed in 1967 in an Apollo accident. The Grissom is an Oberth class starship, and it really doesn't have any weapons whatsoever. It's really just a science vessel. So, with what we know of what's going on at Genesis right now, why would they send an unarmed vessel to go research it? Where's, like, the escort? There needs to be a couple of extra ships around here, not just this one all by itself. That's Robin Curtis as Savick. Unfortunately, Kirstie Alley did not return. Apparently she had gained a little bit of fame in between Star Trek II and this movie, and the story goes that she wanted some more money for it, and they were actually offering her less money for Star Trek III than she got for Star Trek II, so she politely passed on being in the movie. It's funny how she's like rolling her finger on that, what you think is like a spinner, but it's not. It's just a stationary piece of plastic. Although they did her eyebrows, something that they didn't do for Kirstie Alley. This is like one of the few times in the movies where they're actually living up to to seek out new life and new civilizations. This is one of the few Star Trek movies where they're actually doing that. Here we are back in Captain Kirk's apartment. Or should I say Admiral Kirk's apartment. You can see the little elevator going down on that building there. I just think that's so cool. I don't see the pet computer there, though. And this is Mark Leonard as Sarek, of course, playing Spock's father. There's like a set of armor on over the fireplace there. I wonder if this is like the only time in all of the Star Trek series where the Katra is actually in play. You'd think it's some other episode, maybe Voyager or something with Tuvok, that they would have had another instance of Katra. I think they've mentioned it, but I don't think any other Vulcan has ever needed to use it. Not really sure why Sarek needs to do a mind meld. I mean, isn't Kirk's word enough? I think he's looking for the Katra in there to see if Kirk has it. I have been and ever shall be your friend. Kirk doesn't look like he wanted to go through that again.
If there was that much at stake.
Spock would have found a way. Yes. But how? Where was this camera that was watching the scene that happened here? Pretty convenient that they were able to replay this for people who hadn't seen Star Trek 2, but I mean, who hadn't seen Star Trek 2? Oh, there it is. You just saw it. This scene kind of reminds me of the scene from Blade Runner when Decker is going through the video.
What you ask.
It's difficult. But I mean, when you think about it, it's pretty difficult to be able to do anything with Genesis being what it is. This very dangerous, well, basically weapon the Federation wants to protect.
We're picking up radiation from the life
Captain is so annoying. Now, normally I know who all the actors are, but I've never even cared to know who the Captain of the Grissom is. Now, the Genesis scenes were all done on a set. There was nothing filmed on location at all. Oh, I love the way those microbes look. So gross.
But how could they have evolved so quickly?
David knows. Slimy little buggers. There's nothing left. Spock is completely disintegrated. But what happened when he regenerated? This is what I've always wondered. Did he turn back into a baby and then crawl away or something? I've never quite understood that. Why would he leave the robe behind? Also, the screams that you hear in the background of Spock are of Frank Welker, who you may know as the voice of Megatron from the Transformers show. Admiral Morrow here is played by Robert Hooks. Again, he was in an episode of Seinfeld. Actually, 2 episodes of Seinfeld. On that back wall there, you can see a structure, a design. That is the model of the Epsilon 9 station from Star Trek the Motion Picture. Why did they put that on the wall, though? Why is it here in this bar? I always thought that was kind of strange. Pensive Kirk, knowing that he's going to have to play this little scene for Admiral Morrow just to get him off his back. He's got to throw him off the trail, you know, because he's Kirk. And this bar set is sickbay redressed. I like that little game that they're playing of biplanes. Those are tribbles. They're on the table, obviously from the episode Trouble with Tribbles. Let's just create a generic alien. I don't think we've ever seen his species before or since. I wonder if this alien wasn't modeled after Yoda. He's got big ears, and he talks very strangely. With ears like that. Backwards friend. Telling you. Is he following McCoy? Why is he following McCoy? Is it because he was trying to charter this flight to Genesis and they're trying to protect it? There's some interesting, shady stuff going on there. This is obviously a matte painting of some cactuses with snow on it. Oh, it's one of my favorite scenes.
I hear he's fruity as a nutcake.
Fruity as a nutcake? That's traditional Shatner goofyisms.
How many fingers do I have?
How many fingers am I holding up? That isn't very damn funny. It's his revenge for all those arguments he lost.
It's his revenge for all those arguments he lost.
George Takei objected to being called tiny in this scene, but when he saw it in the movie and everybody just roared with approval, he changed his mind. He thought that it was a much welcome scene.
Don't get smart, Tiny.
Also, the security guard that he's beating up here and shoving up against the wall is the same actor anyways, who was given the Vulcan neck pinch by Spock right before he went out to see V'ger. Yeah, don't call me Tiny.
Don't call me Tiny.
The voice of the the voice of the turbo lift is Leonard Nimoy himself, but that's also one of my favorite scenes. Up your shaft. So I wonder when Uhura got this position in the transporter room here. Did she get it after they started this plan into place so she could beam them over to the Enterprise? I feel like that may be true. She may have taken this position just so she could be in them over there.
Well, what are we gonna do about it?
I'm not going to do anything about it, but you're going to sit in the closet. I love the new phaser too. Looks a little more dangerous than the Star Trek II phaser. I don't understand, why didn't Uhura go with them? That's always been a question. Why didn't she go? Maybe she had to do something else in order to help the Enterprise escape, or maybe she stayed behind in order to alleviate suspicion. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think she should have gone with them.
I can't ask you to go any further. Dr. McCoy and I have to do this.
It's already too late. These guys are in just as much trouble as you are, Kirk.
Precious thing.
It's so funny that only 5 people can run this whole ship. And I know it's because Scotty has created this automation system. Oh, look at that. I love this music too. Such a huge orchestral piece.
Sir, someone is stealing the Enterprise.
That was from the trailer, and I thought, whoa, I've got to see this. Who's stealing the Enterprise? Well, obviously it was Kirk, but I love this shot too where this attendant here is just kind of watching the ship just back out. Sulu is like holding the throttle there, but there's no handle anymore. They took the handle off. Ugh, can't stand the look of this bridge. It's so cold looking. That's Miguel Ferrer. I remember him mostly from RoboCop. But sadly, he died a couple of years ago, back in 2017 at the age of 61. He had a pretty good career, though. See, look at the way Sulu's holding the throttle. Just doesn't look right. And now, Mr. Scott.
Now, Mr. Scott.
Sir? I said I'm working on it. Gotta have some drama here, right? Is Scotty gonna get the doors open in time? They got this shocked look on their face. It's getting close. We can't stop. We can't stop now. Oh, man. Dun 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 dun. I love that music. And then this very slow, lumbering shot of the Excelsior stalking them. And then we get back to the smooth, beautiful Enterprise music. Now, from what I've read, transwarp drive was something that was discovered during the episode of the Tholian Web. I don't know if that's still true. I read that somewhere years ago, but you remember the Enterprise went through this portal kind of thing to escape out of the Tholian Web, and that's why they discovered transwarp. It's supposed to open up like a portal and then overshoot any other vessel. I do know the name of this captain. His name is James B. Sicking, and I think he was in Hill Street Blues. Was that the show that he's most well known for? Full power level. Engine room reports full power level. Good morning, Captain. Sputters out. That's so funny. Excelsior is adrift in space.
The more they overthink the plumbing, the easier it is to stop up the drain.
I use that phrase almost every day because life and technology are just so complicated anymore. The more they overthink the plumbing, the easier it is to stop up the drain. It's so true. Why would he not take the cloak with him? His mind is just so vacant. He just doesn't even know to do that. But the Genesis wave somehow regenerated Captain Spock. I love her reaction. So it's kind of a bit of a role reversal here. Savik's captain is now the one who's like all by the book, and yet she's kind of flipped, and now she wants to be a little bit more open and doing things outside the book. Oh my God! Bird of prey sneaking up behind. Bah! Fire! Oops. Shot today! Lucky shot, sir. So the Klingon language started out in Star Trek the Motion Picture with a few phrases that were created by James Doohan. Those phrases were later modified and updated by Mark Okrand, who is a linguist. I have his book here of the Klingon dictionary. And the Klingon language that he's created has been used ever since. Now, I understand that this set where they filmed all the Genesis scenes is actually the same studio are the same soundstage where they filmed Cecil B. DeMille's The Ten Commandments.
It's time for total truth between us.
See, Saavik knows something's going on. Too many clues telling her that this is weird. You know, Spock regenerating, the microbes on the planet. It's funny, too, that David Marcus is credited as the person who created Genesis, when it was the whole team. It wasn't just him. So did he use this proto-matter without telling his mother? Or telling the rest of the team? Who knows? I'm pretty sure that the Klingon costumes were reused from motion picture. They're probably the same costumes that they've used in all of Star Trek, all the way through Next Generation. They still wore those same exact costumes. I bet you that they are the same ones from motion picture. The microbes have turned into these giant nasty worms. I always love this scene where he just chokes the thing out. Nothing happening here. Also the clue of the day-night happening so quickly. I mean, this entire planet is just messed up.
Send Captain Esteban my compliments.
Captain Esteban. See, his name is even mentioned in the movie and I can't remember it.
I'd feel safer giving him one of my kidneys.
Of course, as we know from Star Trek 4, McCoy wouldn't have to give somebody a kidney because he could just give them a pill and they'd grow a new one. Like, look right there, there was a Klingon right there who just got hit by that tree. I think that was supposed to be Saavik, but they used a clip from probably a later scene, and you could see it was like clearly a Klingon. You could see his uniform there. Now, as we learned from the episode Amok Time, Vulcans, when they reach maturity, feel a burning in their blood every 7 years to return home to mate. Now, I've never really quite understood what this whole hand thing is supposed to be. Is this supposed to be Vulcan intercourse, or is this supposed to be just a way for her to calm him down? Obviously, there's got to be more to it than that, right? There is a short on YouTube right now. I think it's called Unification. If you actually go to the Roddenberry archives, it's on there. We learn that Saavik had a son with Spock, and that was supposed to have been written into Star Trek 4, but they decided to drop it because Spock just goes off and does his own thing after that. And shouldn't he bear some responsibility for taking care of a son? That's why that whole storyline was dropped, but it was returned into that short. So I guess it's canon now that Spock had a son.
We are secured from warp speed. Now entering Genesis sector.
Federation battle cruiser. I love that line. The Enterprise Federation battle cruiser. Joey, you engage cloaking device. That's like a classic shot of the Enterprise too, like going into a planet. Something happened between the fingers and now that we just didn't see, and yet Saavik is still fully dressed. So I don't know. Don't think too much about it, I guess. I've come a long way for the power of Genesis.
Come a long way for the power
This
of
is what I
Genesis.
find.
And what do I find?
You will give me the secret
Will tell me
of the
secret
Genesis torpedo.
of the Genesis torpedo.
I have no knowledge.
Then I hope pain is something you
I hope
enjoy.
pain is something you enjoy.
Oh, I love that look on David's face. This is Enterprise calling, and he's like, oh yeah, we're good. We're saved. Kirk's gonna save us.
My vehicle? Good.
This is just the turn of luck I've been waiting for.
It's just the turn of luck I have been waiting for.
Clearly, you can see that distortion right there. They shouldn't have moved it around so much. It should have been a little bit more stationary. Target the engine only. Understood? Understood, sir. After what happened to the other guy.
My guess is right. They'll have to decloak before they can fire.
Pretty tense. It's like, look, we're just here to pick up Spock. Why do we have to get involved in this fight? And see, they're firing out the starboard torpedo bay again because Khan had destroyed the port torpedo bay. Oh, there goes the Targ. He just killed Krug's pet. He is not happy now.
Shield's non-responsive.
The shield's not responsive. I didn't expect to take us into combat, you know. Where did that even hit the ship? Oh, that's like the shot right there from this movie. I remember seeing that on the cover of Starlog magazine. In fact, I probably still have that somewhere. So, the Genesis commander himself.
Genesis, Commander.
A violation.
Not really. He had nothing to do with Genesis.
Empire. Your presence here is an act of war.
I have 3 prisoners
I have 3
from the team who created your doomsday weapon. Christopher Lloyd said that Krug is one of his favorite characters. I could just imagine because, you know, playing a villain's got to be the most fun type of role to play. See, Kirk had no idea that Spock would be regenerated by Genesis.
Genesis doesn't work.
It doesn't matter if it doesn't work. The Klingons don't want it to create a planet to live on. They want to use it to destroy enemies. It's just a fundamental misunderstanding of David's to not know how the Klingons operate. This is the first time we've seen this knife, but it wouldn't be the last time. I want to say Worf has a knife like that. Probably the same exact one. According to the book, Saavik would have been the best kill because she was the most intelligent, would have hurt the enemy more than killing the other 2. But he didn't know that David was Kirk's son.
David is dead.
Oh, this shot. Kirk falls. That's my favorite shot in the movie, I think.
Killed my son.
Because William Shatner has never admitted whether he fell down on purpose or if that was an accident. But it's just a beautiful acting moment.
Klingon best.
Oh man, and he just learned he had a son too. If your son was killed immediately, I would just I would do the same thing. I would just collapse. Oh. I feel so bad for Kirk. Given a brief moment to grieve, but got to get back on mission. So they're doing the destruct sequence, which is the exact same sequence that they did in the episode called Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. That's the one where Frank Gorshin played a character that was half black on one side and half white on the other. And he was taking over the Enterprise, and Kirk was not going to allow that to happen. So he was going to destroy the ship to prevent him from taking it over. And these are the exact same codes that they used in that episode. So apparently, all these years later, they've never changed the destruct sequence codes. 60 seconds does not seem like enough time to get down to the transporter room, beam off, and have the Klingons beam on and then get up to the bridge. Yeah, if you look in the background where it says caution back there, it says no smoking. I didn't think they smoked in the 23rd century. You know, maybe there's some aliens that still smoke. I don't know. It's so weird seeing these Klingons on the ship. All this happens in like 45 seconds.
Yes, sir.
7, 6, 5. No. Oh, this hurts so much. Oh. I hate seeing this scene. It just kills me. In fact, I was just watching this documentary called The Center Seat, where they're talking about Star Trek 3, and Ron Moore comes on and says the death of the Enterprise hit him harder than the death of Spock, and I feel exactly the same way. As we come to learn, there's always more letters in the alphabet, you know, they can always build another one. Also, if you notice in the background there, you can see where the backdrop is kind of stretched, so you can tell it's on a set.
There.
I just wondered, though, was Kirk even thinking? He was just trying to take out the Klingons. It's like, what do we do now? We're stuck on this planet. Vulcans apparently have superhuman strength. Well, they do. We've seen this before. And then this shot of Spock, where his face kind of changes more into Leonard Nimoy's face. They're using like air bubbles to like pump up his face and stuff. That's a little bit different than the phaser we saw in Star Trek 2. Some things you just can't change. That I've got all his marbles.
Is there anything we can do?
So, Krug is not like weeping for his crew here. He's actually feeling shame that he was bested by a human. So he beams down and they don't even really notice it. So apparently Christopher Lloyd had to be told to keep the communicator up towards his mouth. He was like yelling out to the sky, thinking that the ship could hear him just by yelling it.
I want it.
You fool, look around you. The planet's destroying itself. Yes, exhilarating, isn't it? If we don't help each other, we'll die here.
Perfect.
Then that's the way it shall be. So, I've always felt that this fight between Kirk and Krug is a result of Kirk not meeting Khan in Star Trek II. I feel like they kind of wanted to make up for that, so they had this really awesome knockdown, drag-out fight. We all know that Kirk is like 50-some years old now, so... Oh, I love that flip. Of course, I highly doubt that was Shatner. That was probably a stuntman. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of fire on this set, and apparently part of the studio started to burn down, and William Shatner jumped in to help put out the fire. And it wasn't because he wanted to help the production. Well, in a sense it was. He just didn't want there to be any delay in the filming because he needed to get back to film T.J. Hooker. Oh, I love this part. Kirk's trying to save the guy, and he's still trying to kill him. I have had enough of you! That's the end of Krug. So I always found it interesting that the Genesis planet deteriorated so quickly. But yet, on Regula 1, where we see the Genesis experiment inside the cave there, nothing. It looked all perfectly fine. According to the book, they went back to that cave and they discovered that it was overgrown and it had accelerated. Maltz! Joey Choo! That means Maltz, activate beam. Of course, he thought that was Krug asking to be beamed up. Boy, John Larroquette is tall.
How many more?
I do not deserve to live.
Well, there's a little sense of honor there from the Klingons.
Where's the damn antimatter inducer?
This. That or nothing.
Or nothing.
They added a little bit of humor in this one. So, there's an interesting thing in this book. On page 12, it says, although a prisoner of the Federation, he worked long, hard hours to make his knowledge available to citizens of the Federation. Maltz, we thank you. It's right there. Every time I see this scene, I'm reminded of the story that the Paramount executives felt that, oh, can we just have Spock and McCoy transfer their Katra in this scene here and not spend the money to go to Vulcan? Nimoy and Harv Bennett and the producers of the movie said, no, we have to go to Vulcan. We can't just do that on the ship. Oh, there's Uhura. Apparently she found a ship to Vulcan. It's a lot easier to get to Vulcan than it is to get to Genesis, I guess. I always thought that was cool that we have the ship landing. This shot right here is the only scene that was filmed on location, and it's at Occidental College in Los Angeles. So this scene always I found interesting. She hands off Spock, Saavik does, and then she turns around. Is she going back into the ship? I always thought that was kind of strange. This is the High Priestess Talar, and she is played by Dame Judith Anderson. She was more well known for her theater work and some Hitchcock movies, but she came out of retirement after 14 years to be in this movie, and this was her last on-screen appearance. Body of your son, breathe still.
I ask for Fal Torpan.
The refusion.
The refusion.
What you seek is not logical.
Is not logical.
My logic is
It's
uncertain.
uncertain where my
Where
son is concerned. See, even Vulcans can have logical lapses. Lapses in logic.
Leonard H., son of David.
Son of David. Now, if I'm not mistaken, we see his father, David, in Star Trek V, in the scene where Sybok is like going into their memories and stuff. I'm pretty sure that's the David that is referred to here. The danger to you is as grave as the danger to Spock.
I choose the danger.
Hell of a time to ask.
So all the Vulcans, you'll notice, They all close their eyes in meditation during this moment. Even Savick. You know, again, the Vulcans are somewhat telepathic. So maybe in a sense they're all joining in. Like they're all working together to make this happen. And this takes basically all night to do. Even though it only took Spock like a few seconds to transfer his memories into McCoy. It takes all night to transfer them back.
What you have done is...
What I have done.
I had to do.
I had to do. If I hadn't tried,
The cost would have been my
the
soul.
cost would have been my soul.
Spock just walks off. But he stops because he just walked past somebody he thinks he remembers. And he's looking at Savick because he remembers what happened on Genesis. And everyone here is just so happy to see him. Except for Sulu, who looks kind of annoyed.
My father says that you have been my friend.
You came back for me.
You came back for me.
Why would you do this? Because the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many.
Outweigh the needs of the many.
So they needed Spock. They needed him more than he needed to be dead, I guess. I can see that. Leonard's doing some amazing acting here. Your name.
Your name is Jim.
It's Jim. It's like he's a kid. Now Sulu's happy to see him. And Leonard doing the eyebrow. And Spock is back. And the adventure continues. Now, while this movie wasn't as beloved as Wrath of Khan, it still did very well at the box office. It was still very popular, but I believe this is where the whole odd movies are not as good as the even movies theory came about. But when you look at the entire scope of all of the Star Trek movies 1 through 6, this is probably the best of the odd movies. Spock screams, Frank Welker. Elevator voice, Frank Force. That was actually Leonard Nimoy. But anyway, I want to thank you for watching the movie here with me today. I hope you learned some things about Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. It's not a bad movie. It's a good movie. So let me know down below, what are your thoughts about Star Trek 3? I'd be interested to read them. Until then, I want to thank you for watching. Take care, and we'll see you out there. Bye-bye.